Ha guys, let's get more news about Warriors, but first don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Steph Curry speaks about Olympic shooting slump. Stephen Curry, the world's greatest shooter, has yet to find his mark in his Olympic debut. The Golden State Warriors superstar has shot 5 of 17 through 2 games at the 2024 Paris Olympics, including a 1 of 9 outing against South Sudan. You're always annoyed, Curry told ESPN's Brian Windor. You want to make shots. Fortunately for Curry, his Team USA teammates have picked up the slack as they remain undefeated in the group play. They did not need Curry's shooting prowess as they handily beat Serbia 110-84 and South Sudan 103-86 to guarantee a seat in the medal round. Curry has only hit 3 of 13 from the shorter FBA 3-point distance. I know teams are going to be locked in on tracking me, Curry said, so that puts a little more pressure on the shots you get. I kind of forced a couple versus South Sudan. You go from shooting 20-something a game to maybe 6-1-0, so you have to be ready for them. Curry pinned the blame on fewer shot attempts than he's accustomed to with the Warriors. His 8.5 attempts per game in the Olympics are way below his 19.5 field goal attempts with the Warriors last season, but he's also only playing 21 minutes per game, 11 less than his NBA playing time last season in a loaded Team USA roster. Despite the fewer opportunities in a shorter FBA game, Curry is unfazed. The floodgates could open at any time, so you don't ever want to get down on yourself, Curry said. You can't let missed shots rob you of all the other stuff you need to do to help the team win. Curry hopes it will come on Saturday, August 3rd, when they wrap up their group play against Puerto Rico, but Jose Alvarado, the pesky New Orleans Pelicans point guard, will present a tough challenge. Stephen Curry, the world's greatest shooter, has yet to find his mark in his Olympic debut. The Golden State Warriors superstar has shot 5 of 17 through 2 games at the 2024 Paris Olympics, including a 1 of 9 outing against South Sudan. You're always annoyed, Curry told ESPN's Brian Windhorst. You want to make shots. Fortunately for Curry, his Team USA teammates have picked up the slack as they remain undefeated in the group play. They did not need Curry's shooting prowess as they handily beat Serbia 110-84 and South Sudan and 103-86 to guarantee a seat in the medal round. Curry has only hit 3 of 13 from the shorter 5-bar 3-point distance. I know teams are going to be locked in on tracking me, Curry said, so that puts a little more pressure on the shots you get. I kind of forced a couple versus South Sudan. You go from shooting 20-some a game to maybe 6-10, so you have to be ready for them. Curry pinned the blame on fewer shots attempts than he's accustomed to with the Warriors. His 8.5 attempts per game in the Olympics are way below his 19.5 field goal attempts with the Warriors last season, but he's also only playing 21 minutes per game, 11 less than his NBA playing time last season in a loaded Team USA roster. Steve Kerr previews Team USA's quarter-final matchup against Brazil at Paris 2024. Team USA has overcome the shakiness of their pre-Olympic form and dominated at the tournament so far, winning their first 3 matches convincingly before qualifying for the quarter-finals. They'll be facing Brazil in the next round, with USA head coach Steve Kerr breaking down why Brazil could be one of their toughest opponents. Yet they're very physical. I think they're the #1 offensive rebounding team in the tournament. They've got a lot of really good shooters and they just play hard. They compete play after play, so we'll have to be ready for their physicality and their shooting, and we need to be on edge and ready for them because they're not going to back down. Kerr painted a positive picture of the Brazilians, but his comments shouldn't distract from the fact that this is a colossal mismatch through most measurable metrics. Team USA is currently averaging more than 25 points per game at Paris 2024 105.7, then Brazil 80.3. Wick H shows there are galaxies between their offensive talents. In addition, even with Team USA's clunky passing and turnover-prone style of play, Brazil leads the Olympics in turnovers. They don't have any active players on the roster but have multiple former players, including star Bruno Caboclo, who was once hailed as the Brazilian Kevin Durant. LeBron James also shared his thoughts on the Brazil matchup but kept it brief. I've watched all the games. They're very dedicated to their offensive and defensive systems. Team USA beat Serbia and South Sudan before polishing off Puerto Rico in their final group stage game to emphatically qualify for the next stage. Brazil were easily beaten by Germany and France in the group stage but progressed on score differential based on their win over Japan. Team USA doesn't have to worry too much about what their opponents can or can't do, because if they execute to their best ability, the USA are unstoppable. Opposing teams know this, with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander recently speaking about how teams need to play the perfect game to beat the USA, while the red, white and blue also enjoys the greatest margin for error. Team USA play to their strengths. They're obviously very talented and very deep. You almost have to make no mistakes and play a perfect game when you play against them, which is what the rest of the world expects. Said as far as Canada, will be ready for whoever we see. The talent on Team USA makes it so that every team they face needs to play their best possible game to even have a shot at competing with Team USA. Even in those cases, the USA can afford to make mistakes and rely on talent, as seen in their exhibition wins over Australia, South Sudan and Germany. Team USA is historically dominant at the Olympics and hasn't given any reasons for concern just yet. They'll be hoping to beat Brazil tomorrow and wait for the winner of Australia versus Serbia to see which of the two teams they faced in Abu Dhabi will be their semi-final opponents. Moving on from Lauri Markkanen there. NBA is the definition of a never say ever league. Imagine a year ago being told that Klay Thompson was starting his final season with the Golden State Warriors. Imagine 2 years ago being told that Chris Paul would be suiting up for the blue and gold soon. Imagine 4 years ago, after a 15-win season, being told that another title was right around the corner for Dub Nation. Imagine 15 years ago being told that your favorite team just drafted one of the 10 greatest players in NBA history. So don't give up on any dreams yet, but if there are dreams that you are giving up on, it's probably the dream of trading for Lauri Markkanen, because it sure as heck seems like that dream is dead. The Warriors, so often a tight-lipped franchise, have not been able to quell the myriad reports that the team desperately wants to trade for the Utah Jazz's all-star and ultra-athletic 27-year-old 7-foot sharpshooter entering the final year of his contract, but nothing materialized near the draft or at the start of free agency, and now the dream feels impossible. As the report Markkanen wants to stay with the Jazz, which is reason enough for Utah to keep him. There's also a recent report from Bleacher Report's Eric Pincus that Utah is insistent on receiving Brandon Podziemski in any trade with the Warriors, seemingly a roadblock given that Golden State doesn't appear willing to part with Pods after a dynamic rookie campaign, and justifiably so, I might add. None of that is final. The Jazz could change their tune on a package from the Dubs, or Golden State could. I hope not. Or, as Pincus proposes, a third team could be brought into the fold. But between those sticking points and a quick approaching deadline where it is growing increasingly likely that Markkanen will sign an extension, it certainly seems like the longest of long shots that Markkanen will play half his games in San Francisco this season, and so the Warriors move on. Probably it's not the worst thing in the world. At best, they've saved their trade chips for another player should one become available between now and the start of the season. are between the start of the season and the trade deadline. At worst they'll enter the year keeping their exciting young crop of players fully intact. And you fan, what do you think of the situation of Lauri Markkanen? Leave your opinion in the comments.